These stones were once part of one of the largest cities on Earth. More people lived here than in most European cities of the time. This place controlled trade, power, and wealth across an entire region. And yet today, it is silent. No walls, no streets, no memory. This is not the story of a city destroyed overnight. It is the story of a city that was forgotten. For centuries, this was one of the largest cities on Earth. Hundreds of thousands of people lived here. It was a political center, an economic heart, and the capital of an empire. Merchants came from distant lands. Wealth moved through its streets every day. And yet today, most people have never heard its name. Not because it was small, not because it was unimportant, but because its memory quietly disappeared. This city once shaped the fate of an entire region, and then it faded from history. The city stood in southern India, in a rocky landscape shaped by rivers and stone. It rose in the 14th century and remained powerful for more than 200 years. This was not a short-lived settlement, but a long-standing capital of a major empire. At its height, the city covered a vast area and was home to hundreds of thousands of people. At a time when cities like London and Paris were far smaller, this place was already operating on a massive scale. For generations, life here felt permanent, as if the city would always exist. To understand why this city mattered, you have to understand its role. In the north, power was centered in Delhi. In the south, it was here. This city was not just a capital. It was the backbone of an entire region. It controlled trade routes, organized military power, and shaped religious and cultural life. Without it, southern India would have followed a very different path. For more than 2 centuries, this city held everything together. That is why its disappearance mattered so much. The scale of this city was not just political, it was economic. Visitors from Europe left detailed accounts of what they saw here. They described markets filled with gold, precious stones, silk, and spices moving in vast quantities. Streets were wide and carefully planned. Water systems carried life across the city. Hundreds of temples and public buildings stood side by side. This was not a mythical place. It was a functioning, organized metropolis, and for centuries, its wealth seemed endless. The turning point came in 1565. At a place called Talakota, the empire's army was defeated. Several neighboring sultanates had united against it. The battle was decisive, but it did not destroy the city itself. The walls still stood. The streets were still there. Defeat in battle did not mean the end. The end came later. What followed was not a single moment of destruction. There was no sudden collapse, no natural disaster, no final explosion. Instead, the city was looted for months. Temples were damaged or dismantled. Palaces were burned. Water systems were broken. People fled. Entire neighborhoods emptied. And when the violence ended, the city was never rebuilt. It did not disappear in a day. It disappeared by being abandoned. The city did not disappear overnight. It slowly faded. There was no capital left to preserve its story, no ruling court to protect its memory. The victors had no reason to remember it, and without power, history lost its voice. Maps were redrawn. Trade routes shifted. New cities rose elsewhere. And without a name, people continued to speak. This place slipped out of collective memory. The city had a name. It was Vijayanagara, once essential, now nearly invisible. Today, what remains are ruins. Stone temples without roofs, empty marketplaces, broken roads. Tourists walk through the site, often unaware of its true scale. There are no crowds, no sense of urgency, just silence, where one of the world's largest cities once stood. History does not always disappear through catastrophe. Sometimes it vanishes quietly. When a place loses its power, its people, and its voice, memory fades. This city was once essential. Now it is almost forgotten, and there are many more stories like this, still waiting to be remembered. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate your like and your subscription. More stories like this are coming soon.